Punchers who magically become friends, live, on camera, and off camera.
For a community of friends, like-minded people who are open and are here to share ideas about how we can be better as a people as a whole.
And give a safe place for
if anybody is looking for a podcast, I love it. It's inspirational, it's ingenious, and it unifies us as a whole, as people. Better me equals a better we.
A better me equals a better we.
Welcome back to another episode of A Better Me Equals a Better We podcast. Listen, I know it's a few of y'all that's going to be waiting for me in the parking lot because I was supposed to be on an hour ago. But when I tell y'all this traffic was crazy, like the traffic for me to get where I'm at now was bananas. It took me super long to get here, but I didn't want to miss the opportunity to talk about this particular topic with you guys. So I had to make sure that I was here. All right, y'all. I had to make sure I was here for y'all so we can talk about this topic together and really get in. Where y'all at? Where y'all at? All right, we here and really get into this topic, right? So tonight's episode is episode number 8. This title is What Will You Do, right? And this is just talking about if you guys haven't heard the incident that happened at the Oscars the other night with Will Smith, and it's very, very, very controversial. There's been a lot of just different opinions concerning the matter. And I really want to know what you guys think about it. Like, what do you guys think about that incident? Like, was Will Smith wrong? Like, was he right? And I'm gonna share my opinion with y'all too. So, if you look at the video, right? If you look at the video, hey Hannah. So if you look at the video, right? Or the footage that about the situation, right? And I'm pretty sure we all saw it. Chris Rock made a joke about Jada and Will Smith initially looked like he found it funny, and Jada didn't look like she found it very funny. And then from there, we saw Will Smith go up on the stage, and then he smacked Chris Rock. And Chris Rock's response was kind of like he laughed it off, like, "Oh wow, he just smacked me." And then we saw Will Smith yell, like, keep my wife's name out your mouth, with a few bleeps in there. And then later on, he apologized to, I guess, the Academy or the Oscars or whatever the case may be, whatever may have you, right? And then, like, all over social media, it's like, how did he smack him, but he ain't smack August? Or, just like a bunch of different, just different things. Like, Chris Rock he knew what he was getting into. He should have seen him about to smack him. Like, that's Sharifa. Hey, Sharifa. So my question to y'all is, like, was he wrong? Right? For me personally, watching the situation, like, I think that there are a couple of ways that he was wrong. Just in the sense of like how he did everything. I believe more in discreet things, like handling things more discreet. Like, I'm pretty sure they parked in the same parking lot. I'm pretty sure a lot of famous people know where each other live. Like, you know what I'm saying? They probably walked to the same restroom. Like when I was growing up, I remember when it was just as simple as like, I meet me in the bathroom and then we handle our business. And I'm not promoting violence, right? But or even in the sense of him talking to him about it. I saw another interesting video where a gentleman was talking about how this was an example of the chair analogies that psychologists use. And they basically said that the empty chair. And the empty chair is basically just things that you've been going through, things that you're upset about, or whatever the case may be that you may not be happy about in your life. And then you use that or whatever situation to direct whatever it is you're feeling, right? So like we might have maybe an issue going on in our home. We might be upset at our financial, situation or just where we are in life. And we direct that to either a certain person or like a certain situation. We might direct it at our job and, act out there because we're unhappy in this space. For me, I think it kind of looked like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? I think it kind of looked like that. Like, it seems like this family as a whole has really been in the media with a bunch of different stuff. And then now this situation happens. And I think that Chris Rock was just at the tail end of a lot of frustration. Like, that's what it looked like to me. Like it because, I've never seen, and I don't know Will Smith personally, but this is just my personal opinion. I don't know Chris Rock personally, but it just looks like he was at the tail end of a lot of frustration. The yelling, if he would have yelled what he yelled, like without smacking him, I would have understood that. But like the smack, I don't know. Like I don't know. But then at the same time, you got people that say, that's his wife. Like he's supposed to defend his wife. You know what I'm saying? Trey said in our comments, you go home with an angry wife and see how that works out for you. Right. So now that's another opinion that I heard. If I'm understanding, what the comment was, if I'm interpreting it correctly, that was another thing where people was kind of saying like, now, if he wouldn't have smacked them, like imagine what the conversation would have been like on the ride home. Like, you know what I'm saying? Or if he didn't do something to defend her in that moment, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Like y'all tell me what y'all think. Like, I don't want to just, go ramble on about my opinion. Like I want to hear other opinions too. Cause again, I want to be in a situation where I get to hear what y'all got to say, what y'all think, or whatever. I'm also gonna drop the link in. I'm gonna drop the link in on Facebook and YouTube. So if you guys want to join the conversation live, like if your opinion is just too long to type, you can always join the conversation live via this link. Just remember to allow your audio and your video when it prompts you to, and then you can join the conversation live. But I don't know, like I just think that it was very over the top. Like, you know what I'm saying? I feel like that was very over the top. And then Shannon Sharp said on Undisputed, which is I believe was on ESPN, he was saying like, I hate it had to be us. You know what I'm saying? Shannon Sharp said, I hate it had to be us when that situation happened. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like that too, to a certain degree. Like, I understand that, he's defending his wife, but it's just like another notch for us. Like another thing that is just like, how people say that's why you can't take N words nowhere. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like and even if that's not the case, somebody's going to try to paint it like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like yet another thing that it's like, look at these black people acting a fool. Even though nobody said nothing about, another group of people acting a fool when they stormed the Capitol, but that's another story, right? I'm not even going to get too much into that, but it just sucks when we already have to fight even to get there. Like Will Smith, I believe, won his first Oscar that night. Samuel L. Jackson, I believe, won his first Oscar that night. And these are household names. Like, these are people that we know. Like, these are people that really are solidified in their field. Like, these are solidified, bona fide actors that have shown their diversity, that have shown that they bring something to the table in their field. And they're just now winning an Oscar after all of these years. And now for something like this to happen, it's just kind of like, dang, like, you know what I'm saying? Like we finally got one. Like he finally got one, like after all these years. And then now something like this happened, and now they got another excuse on why, like, we don't get stuff. We already have to claw from behind to even get in the same room. Like, you know what I'm saying? We got to go through so much more to even get in the same room as our counterparts from other demographics. So now when something like this happens, it's just kind of like, I just feel like it's a setback in a sense. It's definitely a setback in a sense. Natalie said in our comments, the event last night continues to expose the healing needed in our Black community to allow us to emulate the behavior of the giants upon whose shoulders we stand. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Like I agree with that wholeheartedly. Like that really shows like, you know, there is some healing that needs to take place in our community. And not just, and I don't want to make it a Black, you know, against everybody else thing, but there's some healing that needs to take place just in general and in our homes, in our minds, right? Like in the last few years, I want to say maybe even the last decade, like mental health has really been something that's been at the forefront of health, just in general, right? So with that being said, I don't know what that man is going through. I don't know what his wife is going through, because that's another thing, right? We can sit here and say, you know, he reacted like that and he was out of line. And again, I'm just playing devil's advocate here, right? We can say that he reacted this way and he was out of line and he shouldn't have done that where he did it or whatever the case may have been, but we don't know what his wife goes through on a daily basis dealing with her condition, right? Like we don't know what their conversations are like when they go home. We don't know, you know, if she cries every night, like if she cries herself to sleep. We don't know. The only thing we know is when we see her. And what people forget is these people are entertainers. Like she's an entertainer. So there are instances on Red Table where we might see her, you know, have an emotional moment, but we don't know if she's emotional at all times. We don't know like what she goes through on a daily basis. And with that being said, him being someone who is with her on a daily basis, that could really hurt to see your wife be hurt like that. And you know the extent to how much this hurts her. Like, you get what I'm saying? So although Chris may not have known that, or we may not know that, like for him, it may be a totally different story, you know, hearing something like that. But again, you know, it just brings me back to healing, like healing that needs to be done, you know, to deal with things mentally so we don't act out physically. And that goes for all people. Natalie also said in our comments, and this one I can't put up because it's kind of long, so I don't think you guys will be able to see the whole thing. Natalie said in our comments on Facebook, Mr. Rock's joke regarding G.I. Jane 2 may have been accepted had it come from someone that was not aware of the challenges Black women face given the history with our hair. As we may be aware, Mr. Rock made a documentary about Black women's hair in 2009. See, now that's another good fact, right? So now you're somebody that understands the challenges of Black women and their hair. And I just want to say, I'm going to broaden it. I know it was Black women in their hair, the documentary, but even Black people in their hair, right? Like how many times have, you know, we had to make choices that we may not have particularly cared for concerning our hair or concerning our appearance because of the statutes that were in place concerning that, right? At one point, dreads, you couldn't have dreads in the workplace, and braids and just different things like that, right? So there's a lot that we as a people have had to go through in regards to our hair. And then, you know, like Natalie said in our comments on Facebook, you knowing these challenges because you made this documentary, and it's not like it's something that's public knowledge, right? So you made this documentary, you're aware of this, and then to make a joke of that, I could see, you know, why people would feel away. Natalie said, I do not care how you cut it. There will always be a double standard for Black people, period. Trick said in our comments, now who want to be like Bill Cosby and Will Smith? That's a fact. And then Natalie also gave us a bit of information. The Crown Act was just passed. That's how bad it's been. And the Crown Act is concerning employers and how we can wear our hair, you know, at work. Hannah said in our comments on Instagram, I question if his wife is more sick than what they're saying or other personal issues are happening. And see, and that's exactly what I mean, right? Like, is she actually like, and I'm not saying that she doesn't have, and please don't crucify me if I pronounce this wrong, alopecia, yeah, I think it's alopecia, but I'm not questioning if she has that. But who's to say like she's not like sick, like actually sick? And again, that goes back to like We don't know what goes on in these people's homes. We don't know what goes on behind closed doors. The only thing that we know is what they allow us to see, when they're doing their job, when they're entertaining, and then also the bits and pieces from when people invade their privacy. Like, you get what I'm saying? Or, the situation with August Alsina, was somebody had he had loose lips, right? And he was telling the business and stuff like that. And then, we piece one and one together, and then we take, different things that, again, public knowledge that we do know, and we take it and say, like, all right, well, this is what it is, right? Hannah said they made fun of Chadwick Boseman and he had cancer. That's a fact. That's a fact. And that's so crazy. And that just goes to show you, like, you never know what somebody's going through. Because I remember that. I remember those memes. I remember those jokes saying that, oh, like, Chadwick was getting skinny, that people were saying, like, oh, is he doing drugs? And the whole time, I think, he had stage 4 cancer, something of that sort. So, it's really not fair to say, like, exactly what somebody is going through. Nikki said in our comments, honestly, alopecia is a physical sickness because people are actually losing their hair. However, that can affect a person's mentality, and not just a person's mentality, but their mental being, just in general, like their mental health. Like, especially when you're somebody like Jada, who, regardless of what your type is, we all know that she is at the forefront of beauty, in our community as far as celebrities goes, right? So, and she's always been that, right? This hallmark, this poster of beauty, right, for us. And I'm pretty sure she's aware of that. She's no stranger to that fact, right? So now, for you to feel like you're beautiful, and you may not feel like she's just beautiful because of her hair, but now to not have something like that, right? That could affect someone mentally, right? How do you look at yourself in the mirror? That could affect somebody mentally. And then we also got to remember, she made the choice to not wear a wig. I'm pretty sure, I don't know how much money she got in her account, but I'm pretty sure she could have got the best wigs there were, like, to the point where we wouldn't even have known, right? But she made that decision. We don't know how that's affected her mentally, right? Natalie said Mr. Smith did not become upset until he saw the reaction of Mrs. Smith. Although Mr. Smith may have felt the need to defend his wife, his behavior is not acceptable in the eyes of the Oscar producers and the financial endorsers. However, if they were in my old neighborhood, it would have been acceptable and expected for Mr. Smith to have the way for Mr. Smith to behave the way that he did. I'm sorry, I don't know where y'all from, but I agree with that. And I think that's where all the differing opinions come from, because there's that fine line of, all right, where I'm from, we don't play like that. And then there's a lot of people that's saying, like, all right, I don't care where you from, you don't act like that in this type of environment. But then now there's people that's saying, well, forget the environment. Like, they don't care about us anyway. Like, so if I need to handle my business, I'm gonna handle my business. I don't care where I'm at, right? So it really is a fine line. Nikki said people will feel horrible because they're losing their hair, and that's a fact. That's a fact. Like, I don't know if y'all noticed, but I got my joint starting to, I ain't got a hole in the middle, thank God. But I looked in the mirror the other day, and I was like, wait, I don't know if my joint coming. And you self-conscious about stuff like that. Let's be honest, right? If people have always complimented you, let's say on your waist, you notice that first half an inch on your belly. Like, you get what I'm saying? You notice, like, stuff like that, right? And it's no telling how it affects people mentally. Cam said in our comments on Facebook, I think there's so many levels to this. I feel as a comedian, you have a responsibility to educate yourself on the topics or people you are going to speak on. He should have done his research, and he would have known that Jada has been struggling with this. With that being said, Chris Rock was diagnosed with, One moment. NVLD, nonverbal learning disorder. He lacks the ability to pick up on social cues. He's spoken on this and how it affects him. It's a social skills setback. Now, I'm not going to lie, that's a game changer. That's a game. I don't know about y'all in the comments, but for me, that's a game changer. Like knowing that, and I'm not saying that it makes it acceptable or it's an excuse for the joke, right? Because comedians do that all the time. Let's just acknowledge that, right? If you go to a comedy show, I don't care if it's Chris Rock performing, I don't care if it's Kevin Hart performing, I don't care if it's the 85 South show, who makes a living out of joking on people in the audience, right? Like that's just what comedians do, right? And we've all seen it throughout the years. Like comedians joke on people in the crowd. That's what they do, especially at award shows, right? But the information that Cam just put in the comments really ties things together, especially with his apology, right? I know a lot of people was like, why is this man apologizing? He just got smacked. I don't even like, why would you apologize? You were the one that was assaulted, right? But now to hear that he has this social disorder or this setback and he doesn't pick up on social cues, I could see why, again, not saying that one party was right or wrong, but I could see why he took the approach to apologize because of the setback that he's aware of. He probably looked at it like, all right, you know what? I do know, I be tripping sometime. That's my fault. Natalie said, let's take the challenge and all stop wearing fake hair. Do you know how much is spent on fake hair and hair products? I don't know what y'all trying to do. And this is a woman. I ain't gonna comment on that. I ain't gonna say do or don't because I won't be taking part in that challenge. But I don't know what y'all want to do. What y'all think? Like, do you think it's okay to, do you think you should or shouldn't? Like, wear fake hair. I know some of y'all got bundles on order right now. You just looking for your tracking number for your bundle. So if this is you might want to get a few wears out of that if you want to partake in this challenge. Divine Millionaires in our comments said no thanks, Nat. So look, that's already a no, right? No thank you. I'm sorry I'm not taking part in that challenge. Thank God, as a man, I do not have to deal with things like this as far as wigs. But I just want to let y'all know if my ceilings start missing because of technology nowadays, y'all can laugh at me all y'all want. I'm getting some new waves. If y'all can get a frontal, I'm getting waves. I'm getting some new waves. They're gonna glue my joint down. That's it. Like, I don't care. I said it already, so I'm just letting y'all know in advance. Nikki said even if she had short hair in the past, the only choice now without a wig is bald. If we were going to get and keep a seat at the table, we must know how to react and how not to react. Now let's stop right there. I don't care. I'm gonna be straight up, right? I know there's gonna be a few people that's gonna want to meet me in the parking lot after this comment, but I'm just gonna keep it real. I'm gonna be straight up. Natalie just said in our comments, if we are going to get and keep a seat at the table, we must know how to react and how not to react. We live in a society today, and I'm just going to be straight up. We live in a society today where we have the opportunity to create our own table, right? Because I know, and I'm just getting that out the way now because I know that's what everybody's going to say, like, oh, I don't need a seat at the table. I'm going to make my own table. All right, making your own table is not as easy as it sounds. Do you have the materials to make a table? Let's talk about that first, right? Like, do you have the materials to make a table? Do you have the resources to make a table? Do you have the team to make a table? No, right? Let's just be real. We're talking about most people. Most people that say, I'll just go make a table. We don't have the resources, the work ethic, the know-how to even create a table, right? And to be honest with you, a great leader is someone that's even better at following. So you have to learn from somewhere, right? You have to have a seat at somebody's table. Like, period, point blank. You have to have a seat at somebody's table at some point. Even if you create your own table, do you want your table to be a zoo? Do you want people to come in, have their elbows all on your tables and stuff like that? Because at the end of the day, even being an entrepreneur, you cannot down people that work jobs. Because guess what? If your business blows up and you have $1 million company, I don't care what field it's in, guess what you're going to need? Employees. Guess who's not going to work for you? the people that you said don't like, that you were downing for having 9 to 5s. So we need to secure a seat at the table. I say all that to say we need to secure a seat at the table. And things like this, our conduct, right? Because this is what they try to throw on us, right? And not even just that they try to throw on us, that we're proving to them that at times, and they take stuff like this and they apply it to all of us, right? They take shootings that happen in our neighborhoods. They take all of these other things that don't just happen in our neighborhood, but it happens in other places. But they take these things. And now when I walk to the store, I always fit the description. I'm liable to get patted down. I'm liable to be taken somewhere for questioning, because they take these things, these reactions, these events of an isolated event, and they apply it to all of us. So if we're going to get a seat and keep a seat, control yourself. Plain and simple. Like, remember when you was younger and your mother told you, and I'm pretty sure all of our mothers told us, this is a time and a place for everything. I can't put it more simple than that. It's a time and a place for everything. So you just can't move like that, right? Natalie said he may have apologized to show corporate America he would not take the easy way out and expose them and say it was scripted. All right, that's another narrative. Who thinks it was fake? Everybody don't jump at once. Who thinks it was fake? For me personally, I did feel like it seemed a little scripted at one point, especially when he first initially walked up to him. He kind of leaned in a little bit. Chris Rock leaned in a little bit when Will Smith initially walked up to him, and it was kind of like he took it. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't feel like and this is just me speaking from my own personal experience. If I'm on stage, I don't care if I'm doing a live podcast. I don't care if I'm preaching. I don't care if I'm speaking at a camp. If I'm speaking and I know the script, I know I know who comes up next. I know who I got to pass the mic to and all this other things. And because they done told me, they done gave me the rundown. We probably rehearsed it. And a man from the audience, I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's my dad, is walking up to me in the manner that he was walking up to him. At no point did you not like, whoa, what's going on? Like I don't know, like that. So for me, it just, I could see why people would say that it's scripted, but the world will never know, I guess, at least not at this point. Kim said in our comments, also remember we have to support our sisters who are hairstylists. That's a form of income. Bring on the fake hair. Look, that is hilarious, and that's a fact, Kim. And nowadays, I don't know if there's a lot of hairstylists, especially the newer ones, and I wouldn't know, again, because I go to a barber. I wouldn't know, but it doesn't seem like a lot of the newer hairstylists are skilled or they know how to take care of natural hair, because everyone is styling wigs and bundles. And do people even wear bundles anymore? I don't know, because I just see wigs. So you pop them off, put the other one on. Secret agent today, school teacher tomorrow, hot girl on the weekend. So I don't know. Do y'all wear bundles or just wigs, or I don't know. Trey said, oh, you got the fake hair already. Nah, I don't got the fake hair. I do, but they can't get back off of it. Natalie said, I'm going to continue to know how to sit at the table and maintain my composure until everyone that looks like me understands the electoral college voting system and we are permanently seated at that table. You got to get in. Somebody got to do it, right? And you ever notice that wherever you live, whatever state you live in, whatever neighborhood you live in, there are a particular ethnicity of people, or culture of people, race of people that kind of control a certain neighborhood, right? And I mean this with no disrespect to any culture, and not that I feel I'm going to say something disrespectful, but people are so sensitive these days. I always feel the need to give a disclosure, but in New York City, there's a Chinatown, There's multiple Chinatowns, as a matter of fact. There are neighborhoods that are predominantly Jewish, even though Jewish is not a race, it's a religion, but they identify as Jewish. They have their own neighborhood or multiple neighborhoods in a particular area. I've seen areas that are predominantly Indian, or what people will call Arab for slang. And the craziest part about these neighborhoods is they usually own it, right? So the landlord is usually from that demographic of people. So it's hard to even get in there, because even though we have these laws that say you won't be discriminated, by race, creed, color, sexual orientation, and all this other stuff, how is it that people are able to occupy these neighborhoods? Like, you mean to tell me that there was no one from another race or demographic that qualified to have this apartment or buy this business space or rent this storefront? Nobody? Not one. Right? So the only way that we can get in is if one person get in and act accordingly, and then we pull everybody else up. But I mean, unfortunately, it seems like a lot of us, we have the crab in the barrel mentality. We see people getting out, we want to pull them down. I know Jay-Z said in a song not too long ago that even as crabs, if we stayed attached, if one person got to the top, he can pull, like, all the crabs. If the crabs were smart enough, if one crab got to the top and they all were linked up, that one crab can pull everybody else up, and they all climb on each other's backs and stand on each other's shoulders. And that goes to Natalie's point earlier when she talked about understanding the shoulders of the people that we stand on. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, people that really fought for us to be able to be considered to sit at the table, right? To even be considered to sit at the table. So we got to get in. We have to act accordingly. When we're able to get into a space, because it's so hard for us even to get there. Will Smith has been acting since I don't know when. He's made movies like I Am Legend, like just a bunch of different movies that were great, and he's just now receiving an Oscar. That's crazy to me. So even in his field, being somebody with his body of work, he's just now being recognized for it on what actors would look at as the biggest stage. He's just now being recognized for it. So getting a seat at the table and obtaining a seat at the table so we can bring people in and give those opportunities to other people is essential. And even if you don't want to be the person to help, you still got to act. You still have a responsibility. If not to nobody else, but to yourself. Like, what I don't know if it was just my mother that said this, but you better not embarrass me in the street, or don't get in the store and act a fool. I know I ain't the only one that heard this. So I don't know. And then you have people where we're from, where it's like, and I say we, and when I say we, I mean myself and people that grew up in neighborhoods like myself, where it's like, that couldn't have been me. A lot of people are saying, like, if they was Chris Rock, like, that couldn't have been me. We would have had to get it on the stage. Like, that couldn't have been me. So that's my question. Should he have retaliated on the stage? Like, I don't know. I mean, I do know. I have an opinion, but I don't know, for the sake of conversation. Natalie also said in our comments, priorities. I'm all for enhancing my beauty. Trust me. But I can't see spending $50 to $250 a month on my hair, and I'm renting. Or I have to borrow money for a funeral. Please know I'm not judging. It took me 60 plus years to get here with this mindset. As much as I love my family, I don't like them seeing me without my wig. This slap heard across America is an eye-opener for me. Priorities. It's just that simple. Like we hear small things like, what's that saying when it's like, I'd rather cry in a Rolls Royce than a Honda, right? But you're gonna cry in this Rolls Royce and then get dropped off in public housing. Nothing against public housing, but somewhere that you're renting. But either you or someone that you're connected to has a Rolls Royce. I don't know. The math not mathing for me. It's not mathing for me. I'm not saying that, and this is just my personal opinion, I'm not saying that people shouldn't partake in things that they like, buy the things that they like, enjoy life. But like Natalie said in her comment, like, these same people have to start GoFundMes for funerals. I can get money and spend whatever I want on, and then this is not just a knock against the lady, because ladies, I'm not just talking about hair, but anything, right? These jeans that people are wearing these days, sneakers is $1,000, jeans is $1,000, and we're spending all this money on all of this stuff, but we don't have life insurance. Like majority of minorities that I know, right? I'm not going to talk for the ones that y'all know, do not have life insurance. We have a comment on Instagram. Priorities are different for each individual. That's a great point. That is a great point. And the reason why I say that that's a great point, although I agree with both points, the reason why I say that that's a great point is because I've come to the belief that I used to always think life was about levels, right? Like I had to reach a certain level, get to this level in order for of success, and get to this level. And, I would look at either people that I felt like was where I wanted to be, or even celebrities. And, when I was younger, I had hoop dreams, right? So even, people in the NBA, and I'm like, I want to have this big house and buy my mom a house and all this other stuff, right? And then I got to the point where I realized that life wasn't about levels. It was more so about lanes, because each individual has an assignment, right? Every job that there is out there, most things in life are to benefit the person next to you or other people. So if somebody's a garbage man, I can say for me, I would never be a garbage man. It's just not for me. I'm not going outside, rain, sleet, and snow, tossing garbage. But could you imagine if we had no garbage men? Where would the garbage go? Right? Like I could say, I will never be a doctor, an open heart surgeon. I couldn't take the blood, but somebody got to do it. Somebody has to do it. Right? So when we talk about priorities are going to be different by the person because they're in a different lane. So for the lane that I'm in, there are certain priorities that should be or that people that are successful in my lane will probably recommend. Right? Let me say it that way. There are certain things in the lane that I'm in that may be suggested by people that are successful in my lane, but that may not apply to you. Or we can look at it not even just from a success standpoint, but even from a happiness standpoint, right? What makes you happy doesn't make me happy. So with that being said, when it's over, it's over. When we close these 2 eyes for good, like mine's don't close when yours close, and yours don't close when mine close. So everything that you do while you're here, it's all about it. If you happy with it, if you good with it, right? Like, and that's really the big thing. So I'm happy that you said that. Like priorities are different for each individual, because when you see things that you don't agree with or you wouldn't do, sometimes, as people, myself included, like I just got caught up doing that. Sometimes you can get passionate and be looking at people and telling them what they should and shouldn't do. In all actuality, as long as it makes you happy, that's all that matters, But as for me and my house, no, thank you. No, thank you. And they probably would say the same thing concerning, what I think is a priority. Natalie said, I'm glad Mr. Rock did not retaliate. Mr. Rock is to be commended for maintaining benevolence towards Mr. Smith. She also said, I agree. Great point. Priorities are different. Well said. I agree as well. She also said, thank you for educating me about lanes. That is so true. Nikki said in our comments, priorities are definitely different for different individuals. Some people think success is looking successful, but some people don't care to look successful, but actually being successful. Kim said in our comments, we must educate ourselves on good money management, finances, etc. I agree with all of you ladies. Like, this is all great stuff, great comments. I think all in all, we can all come to agreement and say that what we saw the other night definitely wasn't something that we can agree and think that we should have saw. You know what I'm saying? Definitely can look and agree and say this probably shouldn't have happened. It was definitely something that I didn't expect, especially coming from Will Smith. But then again, like I said in the beginning, like, I don't know Will Smith personally. I don't know what his wife goes through on a daily basis concerning her situation. Or I don't know if that's the correct term. I wouldn't say situation, but concerning her diagnosis. Like, I don't know what she goes through on a daily basis. I don't know what their family goes through on a daily basis. Concerning that. So it's really hard to say, and I think that for all of us, right? Anybody that feels like, they would have done that in response to a joke that was made. I don't know. Like, do you guys think that's like anger management? Do he have anger issues? Was he reflecting? I'm sorry, not reflecting, projecting. Projecting his emotions. Maybe regarding the situation, because again, he appeared to laugh at the joke initially until he saw her reaction. Right. So that kind of leads me to believe, like, if it was real and not staged, because that's also something that comes into play, that leads me to believe that there can be something a little bit more to it that we just haven't seen or we don't know about. And like Hannah said in our comments earlier, Chadwick Boseman was sick with cancer, like literally dying, and people made jokes about it because they had no idea what was going on with him. And I don't know if you guys saw The Best Man. They made a sequel to The Best Man, and all the friends came over, and everything seemed regular, and they thought it was like a friend reunion, just to find out the best friend wife was sick, and she was actually dying. And things of that sort. I'm not saying that's Jada. I'm not putting that on her. I do wish her the best, and I hope there isn't anything underlining that's going on that we don't know about. I pray that she is in good health, but we just don't know. Like, we just don't know what led him to do that, what made him that upset, whether he should have done it or shouldn't. We just don't know what ticked him that way. And Natalie said she thinks the comments were scripted, but not the slap. Yeah, I agree. As of right now, that for me, the jury is still out whether the smack was real or not, or the whole situation was real or not. But from what I can see, even the slow-mo, yeah, he got smacked. And from what I know, from what it looks like, they seem like they're friends, or they were friends at one point. So I hope that this is something that they can talk about at a later date and or even soon, and be able to get past. But it just sucks that now not only is this a knock against us, or will be generalized against us as a people. This is when the Jada jokes is going to start, right? Like, obviously this is something that's bothering her. Obviously this is something that's bothering her. Because she felt the way about the joke, clearly. And then now, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but I've seen the memes already. Like, you know, if Will wouldn't have did nothing, Jada would have said, see, this is why I should have got with Tupac. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just little stuff like that. And it's crazy. Like, but the internet is like a wildfire. It's something that you just can't control. Like, once it starts burning, it gets out of control, and people are gonna be people. Nikki said he's human. Nikki said he's human, and if someone talked about my wife because of where I'm from, I would probably put hands and feet on a person. Is it professional? No. Would I do that in a professional setting? I don't know. Maybe not, or maybe. And that's honest, right? Like, let's just be honest. We all know what we should and shouldn't do in certain situations, but then you get in situations and it's like, yeah, all of that go out the window, right? So I appreciate your honesty on that, because I know that there are a lot of people that do feel like that. You know, I've heard stories about people fighting in church. I've seen people fight at work. Like, you get what I'm saying? You know, I remember being at an Applebee's, like literally actively eating, and some employees were fighting, so much so like they were fighting their way out the kitchen, like really getting it on. Like, so it happens. Like, it happens even when it's not supposed to happen. And we really don't know what pushes people's buttons. Kim said, I would never encourage or condone any family member or spouse to make jail time over a comment made about me. No need to defend my name with violence. And for me, I can agree with that, right? Because one of the things that we didn't talk about is that there were charges that Chris Rock chose not to press, but that could have turned into something that really didn't have to be, right? Not saying that Will Smith would have went to the Supermax or nothing like that, nothing crazy, but that could have turned into something, you know, a lot bigger than that. You know what I'm saying? Because of a joke. Again, if anybody knows me or knew me a few years ago, I want to say maybe about, let's just say a few years ago, I dealt with things differently. I thought differently. I spoke differently. When I was a child, I behaved as a child. And when I became a man, I behaved as a man. Let's just say that. And I would have done what Will Smith did. And to be honest with you, like the biggest thing for me is just discreet, right? Whether he had a comment about it, whether he felt the way and he wants to put his hands on him, it didn't have to be on national TV. That's my whole thing. Like, I just feel like not condoning the violence. It didn't have to be on. It didn't have to be on national TV. But when you're in the heat of the moment, stuff happens. Natalie said it's hard to live a mistake down. I cleaned up the church parking lot with my now ex-girlfriend I still hear about, and that was 30 years ago. I'm not judging Mr. Smith. Oh man, that sucks. That really does suck. Like you said, like having to live a mistake down. Like, I made a mistake and now I got to live with this. And I do think, Will Smith has been doing this long enough, and he seems to have a really good team. So I do think that this is something that will blow over time. But yeah, it's hard to live it down. And Natalie, I appreciate you being, again, transparent, right? Because these are the comments, these are the things that people need to hear, because at the end of the day, yeah, we can talk about the Oscars all night, but let's talk about it on a smaller scale where people like us have been Will Smith, right? Like, people like us have been in his predicament. The only difference is we don't have the same social status, the same perks, the same bank account. Right. So things may not have gone the same for us in the exact same predicament. You know what I'm saying? So now when we take the opportunity to have conversations like this, where I can openly say, like, listen, being transparent, I probably would have did the same thing. I would have did it a little different because I believe in a certain level of discreetness, but a few years ago, you would have caught me on the right side of the block or the right side of life. You would have got what you was looking for. And then, having Nikki saying like, I'm just not sure. Like, I don't know, you know, regardless of the setting, I don't know what I would have did. And then having Natalie saying, listen, I had to clean the floor up with somebody in the parking lot, right? Like, this is real stuff. You know what I'm saying? That this is how we learn and grow, because a lot of the times, we feel like it's just me. Like, it's just me. I'm the only person that's going through this. I'm the only person that thinks like this. And now when you're able to hear people, say things like this, or even if you haven't been through this, like, what if you get into a situation in the future, or you see somebody getting into a situation in the future that's similar to this, right? You've been exposed to information in different scenarios, right? To now be able to be better and grow, right? And for us to talk about situations like this and not being reactionary, right? This is how we can be better as a collective, right? And hence the better me, better we, right? In order for us to be better, I have to be better. Like, I can't worry about what everybody else is doing. Natalie said, I want y'all to be better than me. People see me and they don't know my past. And that's a Snapple fact. I can agree with that wholeheartedly. And it's one of those things where it's just like, if you know, you know. If you know, you know. Right? I'm not going on a recap, writing no autobiography, but if you know, you know. All right. So for me personally, as you guys know, like, I'm really, really, really conscious of you guys' time. And I was supposed to be on an hour ago, but when I tell you guys I was in traffic for an hour and a half, I mean literally an hour and a half. So I appreciate everybody for tuning in. I know everybody that wanted to be a part of this conversation, wasn't able to be a part of the conversation, which sucks. Because the timing was off, and I know that you guys all have a schedule, all have a life, I'm saying, that you guys got to get to, and things that you have to do. And the same way we plan for TV shows, if you're a Power fan or American Idol or whatever it is, right? There are people that set aside time to be a part of this conversation. So my apologies to you guys for not being on time. But it was out of my hands, but I still wanted to have this conversation with you guys. But I don't want to keep you guys up all night. And Trey said, "I comments cat." Listen, I was in traffic. But, I don't want to keep y'all up all night. I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate you guys having this conversation. And even in this brief conversation, like, I just feel like I've learned so much. I had a presupposition concerning the topic prior to us having this conversation, and now having this conversation and seeing y'all comments, and from things as simple as things that you have done and things that you would do, or when Kim said, I wouldn't want my family to go to jail for me. And, just being able to open up my mind to different perspectives. Like, I really learned so much, even hearing, on Instagram from Divine Millionaire. It's like, priorities are different for people, right? So many times we get so caught up in the things that we think and what we believe in, and we project that on the other people, right? So I learned so much. I hope you guys learned a lot too, right? I'm gonna quit rambling. The only thing that I ask is, if you guys can, if you have it, just like our page on Facebook, so that way you'll get the updates and stuff. Like, when we go live, you'll get the notifications. If you're somebody that's not a Facebook person, maybe you just got Instagram, maybe you're about to deactivate social media altogether, you can subscribe to the podcast on YouTube. Outside of YouTube, we are on Spotify. I'm on Spotify, Google Podcasts. I didn't get iTunes yet. I know y'all iPhone users, you like, yo, you doing all these Androids. Look, Spotify is on iPhone. So I'm working. Me and Apple working something out right now. I'm gonna be on there soon. Just give me a second, right? And then last but not least, www. All right, not that many W's. www.abettermeabetterweapparel.com. Right. This was this right here. Like, this is Christmas, right? I had to go throw back. I didn't wear my Christmas one too much, so I had to go throw back and put the Christmas one on. But A Better Me, A Better We apparel.com. You can go to Facebook and shop. You can go to Instagram and shop. The link is in all the bios. You can get stuff like this. We also have different things. I still have the Black History stuff up there for you guys in case you want to go and get that. I still have some of the Valentine's Day stuff up for you guys if you want to go and get that, because I think love is every month, right? Not just Valentine's Day, not just February. Let's get our love on, right? And last but not least, do not forget that a better me equals a better we. I'll see you guys next Tuesday at 8 p.m. I mean 8 p.m., not 8 p.m. Black people time, like not 8 p.m. All right. Thank y'all so much for tuning in and have a great night.